My parents sold the blue car about a week and a half ago, so I've been driving the truck here around, and this here CD player stinks. I made myself a CD because I can't hook my iPod up to it, and skips and distorts it. Make sure I get my CD out. So, my dad said that I can put my stuff back in. I have a Sony Exploit CDX GT120. It was the cheapest one they had that would fit this truck. So I'm going to do a little installation video here to show you how to take apart your dash in a Nissan Frontier. So first you want to take all your junk that you got down in this little compartment here, clean it out, and then I find it easier to take your four-wheel drive shifter and just put it down into the neutral position, and then just leave that however. And then you're just going to take this whole piece here and just pull up on it and it'll pop right out. And you could go through the trouble of taking off both these knobs so you can take this whole piece off, but this one I can't get off, and this one I can't get off, and I tried pretty hard on that one to try to get it off to make it easier. But back when I first installed this radio in here, it took me forever to figure out how to even get my whole dash apart, because there's these screws down here that I couldn't find. So there's 4 screws holding this on. There's 2 down in here, which are pretty tight. Of course, well, all the screws in that hold all the dash and everything together are the same. So I just use one of the cup holders and fill them up with all the screws. And then up a little higher, there's 2 more screws back in here that need to be removed. Of course, I drop them. It's so hot in here. I'm sweating to death. Let's find that other screw. Yes, and there is a kitten in the truck. She decided to hop in while I was getting ready. So, she wants to go down by my feet. So I took out both of those screws, and there's 2 screws down here that I already took out. So now this whole piece pops right out. Now I'm gonna warn you here. These 2 things are for your airbag system, and just to make the whole process easier, you go through, unplug all this stuff. It's easier if you have a screwdriver. There's one down here too. Alright, so now those are all unplugged. I'll get back to what I was saying. These are for your airbag system. So if you take and turn on your key, it checks all the systems. If you turn on your vehicle or put it into the ignition mode, it goes through and checks all those systems, like all the lights pop up. And if you leave these unplugged and put it into the ignition mode or start it, when the airbag system checks the system, it realizes that these 2 devices here are not hooked up. It throws up a red flag and turns on your airbag light. And then just to get it checked, you take it to your local place or whatever, wherever you take your vehicle. They'll plug it in, then they have to troubleshoot the whole system, find out why it came on, and it costs about $100 to do that. So I learned from experience, you want to make sure that these are always plugged in if you're going to turn your key on. So you can take and unscrew them if you want to, so that you can turn on your vehicle. The other one's just a cigarette lighter, so that doesn't really matter. But This is just the key thing that turns on and off the passenger airbag. We'll just take and unscrew them from here and plug them in just so nothing does happen. Just thinking, try to change out that LED and put a blue one in there so then the off light will glow blue instead of yellow. That'll be kind of neat. And then find somewhere secure to place that, because you're going to have it apart for a little while here. And these wires, you can just tuck them back up in here because you're not going to need them. And to get your CD player out, there's 4 screws holding it in. All these screws are like exactly the same. Alright, so now all four of those screws are out. The whole thing will just come right out. And reverse, get that out of the way. So now you just unplug your antenna. And there's 2 other plugs back here. One of them is your speakers, and then the other one's just like your power stuff. And now your radio is out, and you gotta take off your mounting brackets on the side, and they got this stupid star head things. So I think I might have one of those bits. And of course I'm using all my tools that I won at Skills USA. Drill bits, nut drivers, no torque bit, but last time I did this I didn't have one either, so you just, it might be easier with the smaller Phillips head. Just take your Phillips head and, no, need the bigger one. I have to push on them real hard because this isn't the right bit for these, but that's how I got them out before. Alrighty, so got the other bracket off, and a good way to keep track of your screws is just put them back in the holes without the brackets. You don't even have to really tighten them down that much, just a couple twists, that way you don't lose them. And then when you go to reinstall it, when you're getting rid of it or just don't drive it anymore, you have your screws that it came with. And if you notice, my harnesses already have the splices on them from when I put it back together. I did not get a wiring harness with mine, so you have to figure out what all the wires do. Okay. Figure out what all the wires do and just hook them up. This is a 4-speaker stereo. It's got 4 channels on it, and this truck only has 2 speakers, and they suck. But it doesn't matter once you get the 15-inch sub in the back, because you can't hear the treble anyways. But just another note: this harness here goes to the 4-way flasher that's tied into the center console part there. And if you do unplug that, your whole turn signal system won't work. And learn that from experience, traveling down the highway, go to turn into the lane and got no turn signals. So just thought I'd let y'all know that. But so you just gotta figure out, you take your meter and figure out which wires do what. So take out my meter. And the way I do it is just take my ground prong, stick it right in where the key goes into my ignition, and just put it to DC. And then you just go through and test each of them. And when you find the one that gives you 12 volts when there's no key in, then you know that that's your continuous power to your radio. Right, so right there, the red one, which I already knew because I got that in there. Then you can just go through and test the rest of them. And none of them do anything. So that's our wire right there. And if you want to, you can go through this harness and try to figure out which one's your switched one